Hello, my name is Michael Eslick. I'm the Operations Manager for Public Health, Muskegon County. Today, I'd like to talk to you about septic systems and our programs here at Public Health. One of the things I am fortunate to be able to do is to manage our environmental health programs. As you can see from this long list, we have many programs that we offer to the public. And one of those that we're going to be talking about today is the first one on the list, residential septic system permitting. And so these are systems, septic systems that are not connected to municipal sewage, but it would be where a home has its own system. So sewage treatment systems are regulated by the health department. And in Muskegon, there are over 35,000 septic and well records. So we recently digitized all of our records in the county. And we came up with over 35,000. The Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy is our partner in this endeavor and concerning wells and septic systems. But the local health department has specific sanitary regulations. So each county or multi-county districts for health departments has their own regulations. Our regulations are called the Sanitary Regulations for Muskegon County, 2003 amended. So in any county in Michigan, in order to construct, repair, or extend any sewage treatment system, a permit is required. So here's an example of a septic drawing provided by Public Health to residents with an installation. So if you were to put in a new home and you needed your own septic system and well, and it was all finalized and we were to go out there and inspect it, we would send you a drawing that looked like this. So what does it look like? So looking here, you can see the home is the larger rectangle. And this is a 50 by 100 home, a very large home. And then down here, we have two new septic tanks at 1,000 gallons. So we have two in a series, two septic tanks in a series. We have a septic line going out to a drain field that is 36 feet by 15 feet, and that equals 540 square feet. This particular drain field, it would be a pipe and stone. That's a traditional system. The well is up here, and it is measured as well. And the distance from the closest part of the septic system, which would be this tank here that the laser is on, all the way to the well here is 155 feet, and that would meet our isolation for this particular setting. So this is what you would receive, and this is all the information you would get from us. You can get this from us if you would like. Now, the older systems, we might not have a drawing, but in today's world, this is what we would provide for you. Here's a couple examples of drain fields and septic beds or seepage beds. On the right here, this is your traditional pipe and stone. This is a commercial application. I can see some inspection ports here. It looks like it's raised because right here, it looks like a sloped sloped here. Over on the left here, this is a proprietary unit. It's called an Easy Flow. And it is in 10-foot sections. And so here's a couple of good examples of what goes in for what's called a drain field or a seepage bed. You can use either term. Here's a couple of examples of septic tanks. So on the left, these are plastic tanks in a series. So two septic tanks in a series. Over here, we have a cement tank being installed. They're very heavy by a front end loader here. Over here is the gravel for the bed. So today we're actually going to be talking about just septic systems and failures in waterways, and we're going to use White Lake area as an example. Uh, any lake, any inland lake in Michigan experiences the same thing as this. This is, I think, a very typical. And I'll just talk about it. So over here where the laser's pointing is the city of Montague. Down here is the city of Whitehall. But as we go west on both sides of White Lake, there are many residents who live throughout this region who have their own septic systems. And so we have a mix. So over here in the city, we have municipal water and also the sewage. But down throughout here, most residents are serviced with their own on-site system and on-site water. So as we use as an example, inland lakes are affected by outside influences, especially human activity. Nitrogen and phosphorus from sewage effluent can cause and or lead to expedited eutrophication. Eutrophication is the natural aging of a lake. So if we have untreated sewage going into a lake or a stream, it can speed that up. The aging of a lake, it fills it in with vegetation. We have lack of oxygen due to the death of the plants, and we have more plant growth than we want in the lake. Release of bacteria, viruses, chemical toxins can also cause groundwater contamination, and that can make its way to the lake itself. Toxins released can harm native fish, aquatic plants, and shellfish, which can bioaccumulate in the flesh of the organisms that feed on them. So if we have a bottom feeder and let's say like a crayfish, and then the crayfish is eaten by a larger fish, and that is part of the larger fish's diet, it would build up in the flesh of that organism. And then if something were to eat that larger fish, that could also be transferred to that organism. Nitrogen and phosphorus that makes its way to our inland lakes comes from other sources, such as fertilizers from lawns and surrounding cornfields, automobile exhaust, animal waste, native species, and domesticated and untreated human waste. Untreated sewage health concerns. Humans who consume tainted organisms or polluted water are exposed to harmful antigens. Untreated wastewater can cause GI or gastrointestinal illness, cholera, hepatitis A, typhoid fever, salmonella. I'm showing here just a graphic of hepatitis A. This was taken from the CDC. And we look here and we can see that in America, I just want to point out that hepatitis A is usually transferred from person to person and is not transferred readily from waterways. But in your third world countries where a lot of untreated sewage can make its way to waterways, that's where we have the transfer of hepatitis A through water. There's been no known health outbreaks related to illegal sewage release concerning any lakes within Muskegon County in recent history. Untreated sewage can contaminate nearby wells, especially if the sewage disposal system is not in compliance with current sanitary regulations. I have an example here on White Lake. In 2019, there was a former local inn was located near White Lake. It's no longer in existence, but part of the complex was flooded. The inn's septic systems were overloaded due to high lake levels And looking at this picture here, you can see in this water area for this particular unit, the septic tanks were in here. They were flooded. Some of that sewage water, or called effluent, was making its way out to the lake. And that was due to historical high levels of seasonal high water levels. At Public Health, we posted the area with warning signs. It was voluntarily closed, and the owners, and it was taken care of very, very quickly. We had posted signs. All the neighboring wells were tested for E. coli, and the surrounding surface water out on White Lake was sampled also by us. And fortunately, no reported health issues or detections in surface water or wells were noted. So that was good news. But in certain scenarios, things can happen. So we have all these septic systems, and looking here at the common septic disposal system failures, for when we have a replacement system, so somebody comes into the health department, they want to permit their septic system is failing. Part of the process for us is that we go out there, and while we're doing an inspection, we're inspecting the old system to see why it had failed. And so we do a report on that. And that's what we call our operation and maintenance report. And so looking at those operation and maintenance reports for the past few years, past decades, I came up with this list. And some of the common failures would be age and design. So many of the systems located in Muskegon County are 20 plus years. I do have some data I will show you later on this. In some cases with the older tanks, the tanks were handmade using cement blocking, or it was a cesspool, and cesspools, many of them did not even have a bottom that was to it. So the effluent could make its way to the surface, or to the groundwater, I should say, which was not good. We still find these, not very often, so most of them are gone, but there are still some out there. Improperly installed is another one, never inspected or recorded. This usually happens, these are the older systems. It doesn't usually happen. In today's world, our contractors are great at coming to get a permit. They're fantastic, and they get the word out to folks, and we try to get the word out. So it's been very, very good. Septic tanks also leak. Why? The top reason is root inundation. Roots get in there, roots love it. They love the sewage. People drive over them is another reason. They're aging out, or it's a poor design. Again, it might be a man-made tank. Another common failure is baffle failure, and that's in the older tanks. So as I point to this laser, this is a baffle here. Excuse me. And this baffle begins to thin out and it deteriorates. Now with the newer ones, they don't do it as much, but the older ones, this cement was was thinner, and it was more susceptible to disintegrate, and so they do at times. And so if you are having your septic tank emptied, and you have a cement tank, you would want your person, your septic hauler, to take a look at that. And if they are beginning to decay or disintegrate, you'd want that person, or a contractor, to replace this baffle if possible. And if it's not possible, you might have to replace the whole tank, because this baffle is very, very important. This baffle is what separates the liquid in there. It's called the effluent, or the sewage water, from the fats, oils, and greases, and what's on the bottom, which are the solids. So that baffle keeps the solids and the fats and oils and greases from getting out to your field. If it's not working properly, it will clog your field and destroy it very, very quickly. Another common failure would be tank maintenance. Most folks would get the rule of thumb is 3 to 5 years to get your tank emptied. And that is very dependent on what's happening in the house. So if you have many people, if you have if you have a family move in with you and it's you're doubling the laundry, you're doubling your bathroom use, your shower use, you might want to do it every 1 to 2 years. And so that number is um, definitely can vary, I should say. So I wanted to take a look at a couple things here. This right here is an illegal tank. You can see that there's those couple of those blue 50-gallon drums that are kind of taped together. That's certainly not waterproof, and it is not a good thing. And no treatment's happening. Onto the right here, if you're trying to find your field, good way to find it is you can see you can see the square here, the rectangle, I should say, and that would be um, a good indicator that the field is here because the grass is tall, it's very lush, it's dark green, and grass loves sewage. So it's a good way to find your system. Continuing with common failures, overuse, we talked about that. That's one. Sometimes the home is remodeled, but the septic system design and size remain the same. So the house gets bigger, but the septic system doesn't. Septic systems are based upon the number of bedrooms. So if you have more people live in there, it's certainly going to influence the use for the septic system. Flushing items that should not go down into the system, feminine products, coffee grounds, paints, oils, medicines, solvents, diapers, even those wipes that the package says it's safe, I would not put it down. Disposal beds are not maintained, so your field, um, you if you're allowing vegetation, certain types of vegetation to grow on it. Here in Muskegon, we have beach grass. It looks pretty, so those folks living on the beach, we would discourage to have beach grass over your field because beach grass is the roots go way down. They're very fibrous. They love to get into the system. It's better just to have like a ryegrass or something growing over your system. You don't want trees or shrubs over your bed or your tanks. So looking for things like that, I know at my own house, I have my family, we have a septic system and sassafras trees love, they just want to grow over my field. So I have a battle every year just to go out and pull them and cut them out. But you have to keep up on it. And if you don't, they will quickly take over. So it brings me to my last point, homeowner inspection. Take 30 minutes in the spring or in the fall. Take a look at your system, make sure it's working correctly. If you see sewage to the ground, anything like that, then give us a call here at Public Health. I have an example right here. This is a pretty new tank, as you can see. Well, maybe not, but it's a new tank. But if you look closely in this hole here, that's the baffle in there. There's a plastic PVC baffle in there, but it's flooded. And that should not be so. So this effluent or the sewage water should not be over the top of that PVC, but it is. So something is wrong here. So if you were to open up your tank and you were to see something like this, this is an indication that something is wrong with the system. Here's a couple things. We get calls for sewage on the ground. In this particular situation here, we see that there's been sewage that's been running here. It's right next to some play toys, not a good thing at all. And over here, we have a collapsed tank. Not good at all. Yeah, very dangerous. Not working correctly. If you see this and you observe it at your neighbors or in your neighborhood, just give us a call and we'll come out and we'll try to help with this situation. And we would appreciate it. So I put a couple graphs together just showing you what's going on. So I looked at about 12 years of history just to show you the age of our septic system failures. So again, we are looking, every time we look at a failed system, we collect that data. And as you can see, this green or this, I'd say a little bit darker green here, these bars here represent the number of failed systems. So for the last 12 years here, there are almost 160 of the failed systems that we looked were 40 plus years old. Almost about 90 here. So if you went from here 21 years to 40, that covers most of the systems. Most of the systems are 21 or fail after 21 years. And in Muskegon, up to about 40 years. And I think that's because we have really, really good sand, which sustains our systems well. So percentage is this lighter green here, the greater percentage from 21 to 40 plus. And you can see we hardly have any failure from 0 to 5. It's very, very low. So here are the number of recorded failed systems in the last, I'd say 8 years or so. We've had a lot of failed systems. These big ones here, I think those were in the years where we had a lot of rainfall. I think those really put some systems out. The next slide is the number of septic system permits. So we have really set some records these last 8-9 years. We were around 250, around 200 to 250 before 2012. That was about the average. But in the last 8-9 years, we're in the 400s, close to 400. This last one here for 2023, this was only for the third quarter. I imagine we're going to be up in the 400s for that as well. So a lot of systems being installed, being replaced, which is a good thing. So a lot of these older systems are being replaced with the new systems. So lastly, just talking about what's on the horizon for public health, environmental health. There is a possible new state septic code that could be happening soon. And we'll just watch that and see what happens with that. There's a continuation of our records digitization project. Like I was telling you, our residential well and septic records are almost complete, but we have a lot more to do. So we're excited about that. We've just recently completed our move to 1903 Marquette Avenue. That's a picture of it. So if it's the Baker campus that the county purchased in 2022 or 23, and we're excited about this. This is our place. So if you want to come see us, or you have a question on environmental health or anything like that, just please come see us. And we're also just looking looking to pursue our national accreditation. And so if you have any questions or anything like that, give us a call at 231-724-6208. Have a great day.